How do we free the FRTs in Florida?
There has to be a lawsuit. Then you have to get a ruling from a circuit court.
Well, all right,
you have to get a ruling from an appeals court, and then either one from the Supreme Court or an agreement from the Attorney General's office that they're not going to appeal the appellate court, and then it becomes a law of the land.
Let's say I have infinite money, which I don't.
Yes.
What is the first step? Do I just take
Get arrested. You have to find somebody who's willing to get arrested.
Now, there's already been people who've been arrested, though, in Florida.
Then they have to file an appeal.
Don't you think like a gun group would get behind it?
Here's what they do. They look for the right case. This is how we got open carry. There was a fine, upstanding citizen with no criminal history, a good father, had a job or whatever, that literally said, I'm going to be the guinea pig for this. He went out on a street corner, open carried his firearm, called the police himself and said, come arrest me because I'm open carrying a firearm. They arrested him. He already had lawyers lined up. He had Eric Friday is a lawyer. He does a lot of work for Florida Concealed Carry. He's also a private attorney. Him and I are actually working on a bunch of cases here locally as well. So he already had the money, basically. Either he raised it or through the groups or whatever, and they hired one of the preeminent gun lawyers in Florida. They made sure it was in the correct circuit because it wasn't in Miami, and the whole thing was planned. They filed a motion to dismiss based on unconstitutional. The local judge denied that. He entered a plea to the charges, went on probation, filed his appeal, and then they ended up winning the appeal at the next level. And the whole protest took about 18 months. That is the smart way to do it. What usually happens is you get somebody who is a 15-time convicted felon selling drugs, gets popped and has an FRT. That guy doesn't have any money, number one. No group is going to put their name behind him because he's a piece of shit, and so they don't get appealed that way. So what you would need to do is find somebody,
Luke,
who's willing to run that risk. You could raise money for his defense. You could have a bucket up on the store. Let's raise some money for the defense. You can talk to people. You can hire me because I can do it. I also, again, I work with Eric Friday, who's a big guy that got the open carry one done. And we could go through that entire process. That's the process that has to go through. And it's hard to find people who are willing to risk getting a conviction on their record or possibly going to jail or whatever while the case is pending. Most people, like that guy who was brave enough to do that, most people aren't willing to do that.
What would be the hypothetical sentence for an FRT?
So
someone like me,
yep.
I have no criminal record.
A person who violates this section commits a felony of the third degree. Third-degree felonies are punishable by 5 years in prison. Right. So this is why that guy was willing to do it on the open carry, because the open carry was a misdemeanor.